AskReddit by deleted. How do you deal with an overly friendly neighbor who asks too many questions about your life when you happen to be outdoors at the same time? I'm that neighbor. I'm an older lady who lives alone and I'm just trying to make a connection with my neighbors. If something happens to me or my pets, I'd like someone nearby to at least notice they haven't seen me in a while or worry about my pets. Edit. Wow, thanks for the swag. Second edit. Come on over neighbors. I'm making brownies. I truly like having some small conversations with my neighbors and wish more would partake. Just make sure you aren't approaching the same neighbor every single time you see them outside. I no longer have a good relationship with one of my neighbors because every single solitary time I was outside, her boyfriend insisted on coming to the fence and talking to me. I finally had to ask him to come by more sparingly, and he took that as no one in your household should ever dare speak to me again. Sometimes I just want to enjoy the sunshine and silence on my patio. It's not a dig at anyone. I just want to be alone, damn it. You ever been in a storm, Wally? Not a thunderstorm, but a storm of fists, raining down on your head. If you're not very open to chat, just keep things polite yet quick. It's nice to have a good relationship with your neighbors. If they do delve into personal questions, just say that's a bit personal. I'd rather not talk about that. Most important thing is to be polite. Don't be an asshole, or act standoffish when it's not necessary. Honestly, just use some common sense. Don't be a redditor, is all I'm saying. Hey man. Nice lawn. What do you use on that? It's personal. Try having a neighbor who tracks when you leave and arrive back home. Talks to your boss about your work schedule and when you're actually supposed to be at home. Asking my boss if I had covered when she noticed I hadn't left the house in a couple days. The list goes on and on. I fucking hate nosy neighbors. Is your life really that miserable you have to worry about strangers? I told her off and we are currently looking to move. Some people are just bad neighbors. WTF? Sounds like borderline stalking to me. I made friends with my neighbor at the beginning of lockdown. Now whenever I go out front of my house, he comes out. Every single time. Even when we just open our front door, he comes out and just sits. One time, Amazon dropped a package off when I was working on the side of the house. He opened his window, proceeded to yell to me that Amazon had delivered a package. I don't go out of the front door anymore, unless going to my car. I just hang out around back and even take my dogs on walks leaving through and arriving through the backyard. My old co-worker had a very similar story. They made friends with the neighbor and then he would come around every day to the point it was inappropriate. Oftentimes he would sit on their front porch and would bother them at all hours, and eventually started asking for money, saying creepy stuff like you must have some extra money, I know you work long hours, you haven't been coming home till after 11 PM most nights. There's a huge difference between talkative neighbors and guys like that. I've always just casually said, "Hey, that's kind of personal." When said with a smile, it usually works. Edit notes. 1. Thanks for the awards. 2. Some people have pointed out that the kind of isn't necessary and in a sense, they're right. It's just how my speech usually sounds, and I find that the kind of is easier to say as a non-confrontational person. Turns out the friendly yet honest approach works very well for many situations. Cough. Sell your house and try again. Deleted. Be as polite as possible. Seriously, it's better than having a bad one who you are constantly at odds with. A bad neighbor can ruin your life. Look, honestly, I have very poor social awareness and no filter at all, so they would probably hear about how my chronic illnesses have resulted in constipation so bad that I have to be on laxatives for 6 months to restart my bowels and the consequences that all of this has on my sex life. I fully accept that I am the reason that I have very few friends. You should move to Germany. This is totally normal there. If you ask someone how are you, they will tell you, medically, how they are. Took me a bit to get used to when I lived there. The flip side is that the average German can't understand why you would ask someone how they are without expecting an answer. In North America we say how are you when we mean hi. Germans don't do that. I really liked living there. I don't mind overly friendly neighbors as much. Giving a short vague answer to certain questions you're not comfortable with is probably best. The problem I have currently with a new neighbor is that they are not respectful of other space or property. They have over 7 adults and 5 minors living in the house. Cars parked in front of my home, RVs, old scrap car in their driveway, city violation. They let their kids run all around my driveway, play with my doorbell, throw rotten fruit in my backyard. One of the adult men likes to leave his trash in front of my driveway, constantly yells at night. Power washes all of his cars and RVs close to my driveway, all day. Several neighbors I have spoken to have had nothing but negative things to say about them, but no one does anything about it. I try to actively ignore people like this, as they are renting the home and I have no idea how long for. But my patience is running thin. Talk to their landlord. They don't know. Landlords usually want renters that don't cause problems with the neighbors. I think maybe they're not so much intrusive, just trying to spark a conversation. I would stop what you're doing, give them 5 minutes of undivided attention. You don't have to reveal too much, just get to know each other, then wrap it up with an alright, good to see you, I gotta get back to this. You couldn't handle my undivided attention. I bought 86 acres in the middle of nowhere. My closest neighbor is 1.5 miles away. So far, it seems to be working, just gotta get the house built lol. Use stone. I got some insider knowledge. Trust me. Grey rock. Keep your answer short, simple, and vague. Examples. What did you do this weekend? Not much. The conversation will eventually fizzle out, they'll get the hint. I moved. It was to the point she had binoculars out watching us. I have anxiety, and can't do anything if someone watches me. I love woodwork, and working on cars. I could do neither without her sitting on her porch and watching me. My yard wasn't big enough to build a garage, so I had to work outside. She would catch you outside and talk for 30 minutes. Plus side, we made a buttload of cash off the house sale. Moving to a house with 2 garages and only one neighbor, a couple hundred yards away. First thought? Always leave the house wearing headphones, even if you're not actually listening to music. Every time you encounter said neighbor, give them a friendly wave and continue to carry on, lol. The only time I've had that happen was in my first apartment. Older lady next door always wanted to ask personal questions about me since I was so young. When she asked overly personal questions, I'd usually just smile and jokingly say something like, "You'll have to buy me dinner and a drink if you want to know me that well." Some of the responses you've gotten don't seem to understand that there are just people like this, that don't respect personal boundaries and can't pick up on subtle hints like one-word answers. The way I deal with these people is by humoring them for a bit, using some of the tactics already mentioned, giving short, uninterested answers. If they don't catch the hints I'm dropping, I'll pretend to have something else to do. Go inside. The premise of this question is why the phrase "good fences make good neighbors" exists. Try to make your boundaries clear, and, barring that, build a tall fence so they can't bother you. Wear headphones when you go outside, or pretend to be on the phone. Bonus points if the headphones plug is clearly dangling, not plugged into anything. Have some friends come over on the same date, same time once a month. Make them dress all in matching clothing, head to toe all one color. When they arrive, come out to greet them. Make some odd hand signals and hit your chest a few times while screeching. They hand you a box wrapped in paper with strange symbols written all over it. You hand them something obscure, like a rubber chicken or a VHS copy of Showgirls. Once the exchange is over, your friends leave and drive around the block only to return to park in front of your neighbor's house where they stare at his front door and write notes in tiny notebooks before leaving. I have a neighbor who I legitimately hide from because I hate talking to her. She'll keep you outside for like half an hour. I'll duck behind the dumpster and wait for her door to close. I have a dog who is scared of PPL, so if I have her outside it's easy to be like, OHH, sorry my dog is dragging me away. I know I'm an asshole, but I hate people. I have zero interest in their lives. My favorite neighbors are ones who never ever talk to me. Ending conversations with some people just seem impossible. Ask them about their life, the same way they do. Edit. Okay, look, what I meant to say is bother them as much as they do to you, so then they'll see that and then stop, or they either spend so much time talking about themselves that you don't even have to share anything personal. My experience with people like that is, don't engage them at their own tactics. They probably have no problem telling you about their life story, hemorrhoids, asking you to feed their cats, long awkward meandering stories that they follow you around to tell you, etc. Be firm, polite, and keep your distance. End every sentence with the words "as was foretold in the prophecy." I don't know if that'll help with your neighbor specifically, it's more a sort of general life tip. Holy Christ, I burst out loud laughing at this one 3 months ago. The weight of my truck collapsed onto my knee and the next day the neighbors were checking up on me wondering what happened, and I can't even imagine saying the truck's weight slammed my leg as was foretold in the prophecy. So how's your sex life? Oh hi Mark. After acknowledging their existence and making brief chit chat, anyway, it was good talking to you. I'll catch you later. Turn around and go do your own thing. No explanation or opportunity for him to ask follow-up questions. It's awkward, and you come off as weird and standoffish, but it works. For most people this should be enough. YMMV obviously, depending on if you're a woman and the dude is one of those dudes who refuses to take the hint because he knows he's got you trapped there. Offense usually works in. Came here assuming way more people would recommend offense. Our 90-something-year-old neighbor always wanted to talk to us about which minority he hated most that day or whether women should shuffle. Put up a 6-foot-tall fence and it was worth every penny. Ask to borrow money. Say oh why do you ask in a smiling friendly kinda curious way. Or if you don't care about being G-friendly there is why would you ask me that? Or the evasive, I don't know what's new with you. Left double quotation mark. Possibly in a teasing manner you ask all the questions. Huh? Stupid Flanders. Stupid sexy Flanders. Headphones in. Sunglasses on. I have a nosy neighbor. I set boundaries. Then I use this technique. He finally understood that I didn't want to be bothered. Now he doesn't bother me unless absolutely necessary. Roll your eyes back, wobble at your knees a bit, and say whoa, did you hear that? The acid must be kicking in. Gotta bounce bro. I say something like oh, I don't wanna get into that, but have you heard about so and so, or if I really don't want to talk at all, I'll say that I'm not feeling too well and we'll catch up another time. Then if this happens again, I'll pretend to take a phone call. After a while, hopefully they get the hint, and if not, then I guess I would just have to move. One of the best responses I've seen. Just basic redirection. Works magically on toddlers and most adults who aren't persistent. How they respond to that will also dictate your future relationship as well. If they persist, you'll know one of a few things. 1. They have poor social skills. 2. They are persistently nosy. 3. They have ill intent. 4. How they handle not getting their way for the smallest things. Just answer it shortly, then ask them about theirs. If that doesn't work, make it up as you go, like Marie did with Hank from BB. I have the same problem, and my nosy neighbors live right up against my backyard in an RV with windows looking right over the fence. My solution has been to wear giant, obvious, noise-cancelling headphones and listen to music or audiobooks while I garden. Big sunglasses on sunny days. Make up answers. The wilder, the better.